Daniel here for Tabletop for One and my 5 after 5 solo preview of Rogue Angels. Now, Rogue Angels is a sci-fi campaign adventure game that's coming to Kickstarter in just a couple weeks. It's designed by Emil Larsen and it's published by SunTzu Games, and they provided me with this prototype copy to provide a tutorial solo playthrough, which I've already done, and I will be passing on this copy as soon as I'm done with this video. Please check out my Kickstarter link in my description if you want to follow the campaign and possibly pledge for the campaign. And so after 5 plays, I have 5 thoughts concerning Rogue Angels. Now first I want to talk about the theme. The theme in Rogue Angels has you as a mercenary crew going on adventures, trying to make a quick buck, and meanwhile there's all sorts of political, governmental stuff going on in the background, and you find yourself wrapped up in all of it. And this completely reminds me of Mass Effect. I know that is what a lot of people have said, but it really does. I love Mass Effect, but even the gameplay reminds me of Mass Effect, not just the story. And I really appreciate that because I really like this adventure game. There were a lot of really good opportunities to change the story, to make choices, to do various things, change your behaviors, which modify your abilities, and all sorts of things like that. I love this. And the choices I made during the 5 plays that I had, I played 5 missions, and the choices I made changed which direction I went on the missions, as well as what rewards I got, how my reputation was affected, and ultimately it split me off from one mission set to another mission set, and I really like that. And so for number 2, let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is pretty straightforward. It's a turn-based tactical game where you're going to be taking turns with each of your characters. You'll be playing cards from your hand that line up on this cooldown track, which is really interesting. I know it's been done before in other games or something similar, but I haven't personally seen it before. And so I found it really interesting and fun to line the cards up in the cooldown track. And it was really interesting the fact that when you actually get hurt, you take damage, you take a damage card, and that ends up in your cooldown track as well. And on top of that, the behaviors, right? As you modify your behaviors, you're actually going to be coloring in different spots on your character sheet that tell you which way your behavior is going, and there's 4 directions it can go. And so as you color them in, you're going to be gaining these tokens that you can use to spend on actions or on your cards that trigger additional bonuses or abilities. So it really kind of leans into this whole character development as you're developing your character, developing their behaviors, choosing different ways to approach the game, and it modifies how your abilities actually play out. I love that. It's fantastic. It is such a great thing. I just love that. The behavior, the cards, how it all works together. It really feels like you're role-playing a character. I love that. But now let's talk about the ease of solo play, because you are controlling 2 characters, and then you have the AI which you have to control. Now this is really interesting. First of all, the 2 characters, not a big deal. You have tokens which track whose turn it is, and you just do 2 actions per turn. It's pretty straightforward. So I have no issue even controlling 4 characters. And I would happily do that in this game because I love the character development. Now let's talk about the AI. The AI is very easy to run because it has these cool behavioral cards. The enemy behavioral cards, they're really interesting because they tell you for that mission how the enemy is going to behave. And they're double-sided, one for red and one for yellow. So you're going to have alternating activations of the red enemies and the yellow enemies. And that is so interesting. I love that. I love how it plans out. It becomes much more strategic and tactical in that way. And those behavior cards are really easy to follow. The decisions you have to make for the AI are really straightforward because you may have 3 actions for the AI, but you focus on one at a time and you do that action first without considering the other actions. And so it makes it streamlined and easy to run, and you're quickly back to your turn. It's just great. I love that. I'm sorry, I'm saying I love that to a lot of things here because I love this game. So all in all, as a solo experience, the ease of solo play, yeah, it's so easy to run, so easy to play, and the rules overhead isn't that big either. And there was a lot of thought put into how this game was going to play. And now let's talk about the replayability. So definitely with a campaign game, you're going to want to know if it's replayable. For sure, it can very well be. I mean, this is kind of a legacy game where you unlock things and you color your cards. I'm not sure if it comes with removable stickers. I want to say maybe it does. But as far as like the mission variety goes, oh my gosh. I thought at first they're not going to get much mission variety out of this. But then as I played those 5 missions, each of those missions felt different from the other. Each of them had different challenges that you had to overcome. They were just so challenging and so engaging, and the replayability was just so high with them. I just love those missions, and the choices that you had to make during those missions, you know, whether to kill or not to kill and stuff like that, it had consequences on your mission outcomes. And so I would want to replay this game and try a different outcome, change the behaviors of my characters, become maybe more a pacifist than a violent person that I was in my playthrough. And so this fifth thought that I want to talk about is something I never used before in this format. My expectations, okay? So as I'm playing the 5 plays, going through these 5 missions, I started having expectations about the games. Like, I had expectations about the cards. When am I going to see new cards? When am I going to see modifications to the cards? And right at that moment when I had that expectation, all of a sudden, I unlocked new cards. Or I modified the cards. Or things like that, where it changed exactly what I was expecting it to do. So every expectation that I would want, you know, and hope for, this met it 100% and exceeded it in several places. And I love that fact. I swear the designer obviously put a lot of love into this game and really thought about the gamer's experience, not just making this game possible, but making it so that the gamer's experience was well received. At least it resonated with me. And I know with some of my fellow content creators, it resonated really well with them too. They absolutely love this game too. And so, yeah, this game has met all my expectations, even expectations that were maybe a little too high. It still met them. It did everything I wanted it to do. And the quality of life issues that I would have with a prototype, I mean, this is just a prototype, right? Everything's being addressed in the final production. And so there's a lot of really good things going to be in the final production. I can tell you right now, it's going to be very difficult for me to not back this. I should not back games right now. It's a little expensive, but I don't know. I'm really tempted on this one. It's going to be really hard because this is everything I want in a campaign game. And this comes from me having Tenera's Adventures, which I thought was my most favorite campaign game ever. This is going to compete for this. If I get this game, Tenera's Adventures is going to compete against this, and I don't know which one's going to come out on top because there is so much good going on with this game. I have a few final thoughts. You know, the campaign book is super thick, okay? There's tons of missions in here. There's multiple missions paths, and there's going to be 6 of these, okay? So there's going to be a lot of campaign books. The map sheets, they work really well together. So they provide a whole bunch of different layouts and different options. I love this. I look forward to what they offer as the final product of this. And yeah, so those are just a couple of my final thoughts. I'll have to let you know if I back this game because I'm really, really tempted on this one. It's definitely going to factor in, you know, like how much it costs or whatever, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it being a successful campaign because I think this designer, he's really worked hard to make this happen. As a disclaimer, I have not received anything, and I'm not gonna receive anything for these videos that I've made. So, you know, my bias is just from my personal experiences. It's brought me a lot of joy and entertainment, and I love this game. So. So definitely check out the Kickstarter page. I have a link in my description. And if you'd like to ask me any questions in the comments below, please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, I have a link in the description. And I thank everyone who has supported me thus far. And I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One. Have a great night.